The world didn't just build a ship in 1912, it built a monument to the idea that nature had finally been tamed. They called the RMS Titanic the Ship of Dreams, but beneath the 46,000 tons of steel and the $70,000 first-class tickets lay a sequence of human errors so precise, so avoidable, that they feel like the work of a sadistic playwright. Forget the movie. Forget the romance. This is the autopsy of a legend, the unfiltered truth of the 37 seconds that changed the world. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic was a physical manifestation of human arrogance. It stood 11 stories tall, a 46,000-ton fortress that cost the equivalent of $200 million today. It was designed to be a self-contained universe, a place where the wealthiest men on Earth could dine on 10-course meals of roasted squab, while 700 third-class passengers in the belly of the vessel shared exactly 2 bathtubs. This was a machine built by 15,000 men in the Belfast shipyards, using the absolute pinnacle of Edwardian technology. But beneath the veneer of mahogany and crystal, the Titanic was already a victim of its own success. The disaster didn't begin at 11:40 p.m. on April 14th. It began days earlier with a simple administrative shuffle. A sailor named David Blair was reassigned to another ship at the last minute. In his haste to pack, he accidentally took a tiny piece of brass with him, the key to the crow's nest locker. Inside that locker were the binoculars. Lookouts Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee were forced to scan the Atlantic with their naked eyes. On any other night, they might have seen the white foam breaking against the base of an iceberg. But the sea that night was a mill pond, eerily flat and glassy. Without binoculars and without the moon to cast a shadow, the iceberg wasn't a white mountain. It was a black hole in a black sky. They didn't see it until it was 500 yards away. They had exactly 37 seconds to save 2,200 lives. As the ship steamed at a reckless 22 knots, the first-class cabins were a hothouse of Edwardian scandal. You had John Jacob Astor IV, the richest man in the world, traveling with his 18-year-old pregnant wife, Madeline. He was 47. Their honeymoon was actually a desperate flight from New York society gossip after a scandalous divorce. Astor was so wealthy he could have bought the Titanic several times over, yet in a few hours all that money would be worthless against 28-degree water. Nearby sat William Stead, a famous editor who spent the voyage telling passengers about a cursed mummy he believed was haunting London, a chilling irony for a man about to meet his end. And then there was Joseph Laroche, a Haitian engineer and the only black passenger on board. In an era of crushing segregation, Laroche had to navigate a ship that was a literal map of the world's prejudices, seeking a better life in America, only to find the ultimate equalizer in the North Atlantic. At 11:40 p.m., the illusion of safety shattered. "Iceberg right ahead!" First Officer Murdoch ordered a hard turn and reversed the engines. In any other scenario, this was the logical move. But the physics of the Titanic were against him. By turning, he didn't avoid the berg. He unzipped the ship. The iceberg's jagged edges sheared off the heads of brittle iron rivets, opening 6 of the ship's 16 watertight compartments to the sea. The ship's designer, Thomas Andrews, knew the math immediately. Titanic could float with 4 compartments flooded. 5 were already open. He realized the unsinkable ship was now a $400 million countdown clock. The water didn't just fill the ship. It spilled over the top of the bulkheads like an ice cube tray being filled under a tap. Andrews spent his final hours pacing the smoking room, staring at a painting of Plymouth Harbor, waiting for the ocean to claim his masterpiece. By midnight, the evacuation began, a rigged lottery where the odds were determined by social class and which side of the ship you stood on. There were only 20 lifeboats for over 2,200 people. The port side, Second Officer Lightoller, interpreted "women and children first" as "women and children only," lowering boats with dozens of empty seats rather than letting a man on board. First Officer Murdoch followed, women and children first, allowing men to fill empty spots. The result was a tragedy of empty seats. Lifeboat number 7 carried only 28 people, despite a capacity for 65. Lifeboat number 1, the infamous money boat, pulled away with just 12 people. Meanwhile, in third class, passengers were trapped behind locked iron gates, a literal maze designed to keep the lower orders away from the elite. Only 49% of third-class women and 24% of third-class children survived. Amidst the systemic failure, Chief Baker Charles Jochen engaged in the most bizarre survival story in history. Jochen ordered his bakers to provision boats with 50 loaves of bread, then spent the next hour throwing reluctant women and children into boats. When his own boat left, he went back to his cabin and drank a tumbler of liqueur, whiskey or gin, until he was not a bit afraid. At 2:18 a.m., as the ship snapped in two, Jochen rode the stern down like an elevator. He stepped off into the 28-degree Atlantic without getting his hair wet. For 3 hours, while 1,500 people perished, Jochen paddled through the dark. The whiskey had relaxed him so much he avoided the cold shock that killed almost everyone else instantly. He was the last person to leave the Titanic and one of the few pulled from the water alive. The ultimate what if remains the SS Californian. Less than 20 miles away, its crew saw the Titanic's distress rockets, but was told to ignore them by Captain Stanley Lord. Their radio operator had gone to bed just minutes before the impact. If that radio had stayed on for 10 more minutes, almost everyone could have been saved. Today, the Titanic is disappearing. A bacteria, called Halomonas titanici, is eating the iron at a rate that suggests the wreck will be a rust stain by 2030. But the stories of those final 37 seconds, the empty lifeboats, the heroic musicians who played until the end, and the baker who drank his way through the abyss, remain as a haunting reminder of what happens when we assume anything is unsinkable. If you want more deep dive exploration, subscribe to Uncovered History Files and click on the notification bell so you don't miss any uploads.